Chicago Urban League staff. The Dream Team, y'all there? So Dream Team, me and Dion want to thank you for the joy, the dedication, the pride, and the hard work that you bring to the Dream every single day. We love each and every one of you. And now I have the honor of introducing the man who made all of this possible, the chief dreamer himself, Dion Dawson.
My man, song right there. How y'all doing today? Good, y'all good? Me and the mayor not that tall, we gonna lean on the door. Sit up here. You good on the mic? Okay, cool. First off, thank you all for coming. Hey, y'all look good. Y'all look good. So, first and foremost, Mayor, thank you for coming out. I wanted the mayor to come out because it's not normal that you get to meet the mayor of your city. You know what I mean? A lot of people in this room have, young and old, I'm not judging. You don't get a chance to really see tangible leadership. So what I wanted to do was have a conversation with you. Nothing hard, you know what I mean? I'm not going to pull out a poster board. We're going to just ask you questions about, how you lead some of your principles, some of the things that you do. We good? You can blame the mayor if you do it again. And I got no cards because y'all know he got a real good communication department. And I do not want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. But the first question, I'm a Southsider by trade. The organization is anchored on the South Side. And I'm married a West Side. So I think we're going to start with unity. And what I'm going to do is say something nice about the West Side. And you're going to follow it with something nice about the South Side. My nice thing is that the West Side is really, really good at picking which South Siders to marry. But no, honestly, I think for me, the West Side, I know the South Side has a rich story history, but it's funny because I learned more about West Side history as I got older. So I think the one thing that I love about the West Side is you all have been able to kind of like hold on to a lot of that history over the years. So going through North Lawndale, learning about Dr. King, learning about Austin, learning about, is that bad? Is that not working? Oh, man, I messed up. I'm sorry. Don't mind me. Is it on? No. Is it on?
Look at the bottom to see if it's staying on.
I don't hear anything. Okay. That's my mom right there. When you hear the heckling, no matter what, that's my mom. Okay. But that's one thing that I love about the West Side is the ability to really hold on to that history. And as a result, I learned a lot that I didn't know growing up. And so I give y'all that. I give y'all know y'all history.
No, look, it's a very great history. In fact, the neighborhood that I'm raising my family in Austin on the West Side, it's the largest concentration of Black people anywhere. We have lost population over time because of historic disinvestment. But the West Side is a beautiful place and space. But, the South Side though has a very rich history because when our people migrated from the South, set up shop in Bronzeville and continue to move south. And you think about some of our great leaders You know, whether it's, you know, Lee, Robert, Jesse Jackson, Dr. Timothy Black, Ida B. Wells, you know, the stories of where Black brilliance really began to set up shop and elevate the consciousness of our people, from media to our sports leaders, to our politicians. Of course, you know, we were missed by United Knowledge, the first Black man to step into this role, Mary Harold Washington. So the South Side is full with tremendous pride. I will say this one time though, there was a joke that was told by Dick Gregory, the late Dick Gregory, and he was sharing like, how can you tell the difference between the South Side and the West Side? And what he said was, if you saw someone on the South Side that was homeless and you offered them an apple, they would ask if it was organic. That's not my joke, that was Dick Gregory.
I've never been so attacked in my life. That's shaming on organic produce right there. But, you know, if everybody did not hear that, he said that the South Side was fat. But let's kind of, you know, kind of zoom out. I think a lot of times we zoom in, but, you know, just kind of zooming out and thinking about kind of what you represent, you know, as the representative of the city. And how does that kind of feel to be our representative on a national stage, especially post DNC, but just overall being the Chicagoan that people think of as like the leader of one of the greatest cities in the world.
I think it's the greatest freaking city. Look, it's incredibly humbling. First of all, let me just say how proud I am to be able to sit on such nice furniture and it's not covered with plastic. I almost feel like I'm gonna get in trouble here, but you know, Dion, we were talking about this before we came out. Just, you know, the dream that you had and how it has turned into something bigger than yourself, right? And that's, you know, what the emotion or the dynamic that I experience every single day. Like, you can spin the globe 1 billion times and stop it. What are the chances of it landing on me? In fact, it was my older son, Owen, he's 16 years old, a West Sider, but he does attend Kenwood. Shout out to
Thank you. Shout out to Owen, he's smart.
You know, but you know, what he said to me was, which was really challenging as we zoom out. And he just said, look, there are 2.7 million people in Chicago. How many of those 2.7 million people are even old enough to be the mayor? And then if you continue to zoom out even more, how many people would be even in a position to run for mayor? And then of the final 9 that are on the stage, how does it end up being you? And, you know, growing up in a home where the ends did not always meet, thank God for the long orange extension cord. From our window, I hope I got a witness in here. You know, from our window to the neighbor's window, and, you know, thank God for Uncle Tommy who made sure that the water bill was, you know, taken care of, right? These are real challenges that, you know, that I experienced growing up. And to now be in the position, 1 of 10 parents were foster parents, and now I'm in a position to, I'll say it like this, carry out the real love story of Chicago, right? When you think about, you know, a Black Haitian immigrant, you know, who falls in love with a Potawatomi woman, and they set up this trade post at the banks of the river because they saw the city of Chicago as the inevitable global capital city of the world. That was the vision that was brought together by a love story. And now my wife, who was the first Black first lady in the history of Chicago.
Give it up, boys.
And now we are the continuation of that love story. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Could y'all please tell her that? I'm getting ready to honey, I love you so much. As soon as Dion gets done talking, I'm coming home.
He's gonna be a little late. We got to go quick. But no, as a leader and a mayor, you can do everything and still be treated like you came up short. How do you reconcile your heart and mind every night so that it doesn't sink?
You know, Harriet Tubman wanted to free more slaves. I don't know how she critiqued herself, considering everything that she had to do for her own liberation, but saw that she had a greater responsibility. It wasn't enough for her to escape. It was more about making sure that the trail, the pathway, the railroad was built so that other people can experience liberation. So my North Star is knowing that there have been trails, there have been roadways, there have been highways that have been built to make it possible for two black men to be on the stage discussing how to transform this city. I continue to focus on blazing the trail. I'm not going to be the last black person to serve as mayor.
Okay.
In fact, it's something that we don't discuss enough. For the first time in the history of Chicago, the transition of power took place between two black people. It's the story that no one tells. That yes, I'm mayor now, but it was a black woman that passed the torch. And so that gives me assurance and confidence that we can continue to blaze and power through these trails, and that even when we don't always hit the mark exactly the way we wanted to or desired to, that we did more than what was done before us. And that is my responsibility, to do more than the mayors who came before me. And with $20 billion of new investments since I've been mayor, a $1.25 billion investment for housing, economic development, the largest investment for neighborhood and economic development in the history of Chicago. We just had a major announcement today with Boa Construction. It's the first prime construction company to build cargo or expand cargo space in an airport anywhere in the nation. Chicago did that first. A black mayor, black construction company, airport, first time in the history of this city.
I mean, you hit on something that what I'm hearing is joy. I hear an enjoyment of actually doing the job. And I think that kind of, speaks to my next question, which is, as a leader, what I've learned is I can control how I present myself, but I cannot control how I'm perceived. And there's a certain level of responsibility that I do have versus not having. And so, thinking about, these times that we're in, what would you want the history books to say, or the people to speak of when they hear or think about the Brandon Johnson era of Chicago?
Wow, that's a very profound question there. First of all, look, I do enjoy every bit of this. I had this conversation with my children, this was about 6 months ago. And they could tell, that, life was life, and they just wanted to check in to see how their dad was doing, not how the mayor of Chicago was doing. And what I said to them was, I said, look, your grandparents were sharecroppers, and that my worst day will still be better than your grandparents' best day. So I do take a lot of joy, because even again, if I have a tough day, I still go to bed the mayor of the city of Chicago. Right? That's what's different than what my father and grandfather and grandmother and grandparents endured. And so, it's incumbent upon all of us, but I've been more reflective around just that question about what the perception is of a black man in an executive office. What I'm very clear about is that the world is incredibly unfamiliar with a black man executive. And so it's more about them building muscle, because regardless of their perception of me, this position, I want to be very clear about this, the mayor of Chicago position doesn't define me. It doesn't. What defines me is what I'm made of, and what I'm made of is a resilient group of people who took the pain from the bottom of a slave ship and turned that into something that not only broke chains physically, but even mentally. To think that now one of the largest economies in the world is ran by a descendant of slaves. That is the reality. And that's what I want people to take away from my legacy. That I'm the continuation of the hopes and aspirations of what our ancestors could only dream of.
Absolutely. When we're thinking through what the Dream Team is known for, give it up for the Dream Team one time, please. Some of the things that we pride ourselves on, of course, is quality, consistency, but also being present. I think that when we think about, living and having, especially in how expensive it is to live now, not having the chance to be present. Can you just speak a little bit to why in leadership, especially now, it's extremely important for you to be present as a leader?
My daughter is 2 years old, Brayden. She sat in an exclusive box and stared out amongst thousands of people as a black woman accepted the nomination of the Democratic Party. To watch her watch that moment, to see my sons applaud and stand for a black woman, being present allows me to appreciate what I believe that children do a better job at appreciating. It's like the words of Jesus the Christ. When you enter into the kingdom, you have to enter in as a child. And I believe the reason why that axiom or that understanding is so important, being present, especially as leaders, we don't always slow down enough to see the simplicity of beauty. It's like when you look at your wife or someone that you love, and you see them without the haircut, the makeup. I just want y'all to know, I think it's important that you invest in makeup and haircuts. Support black businesses.
That's totally not related to me.
I'm just saying that it has nothing to do with anything in particular. But when I see my wife's beauty in its most natural form, that is the real love story. And so it's understanding that the simplicity in beauty, because it runs deeper than just the physical space, that you get to capture, I talk about capturing the soul of Chicago, and that's what this moment relates to. It's capturing the soul and the essence of who we are and living as long as you possibly can in that space with consistency, with precision, unapologetic about it, and that's what I work to hold on to.
Gotcha. Well, look, we're down to our final question. And what I wanted to accomplish was people being able to hear other parts, of your story, of what you're doing. And so the last question would just be, what's something that most people don't know about you that you feel is important to know?
Wow. One of the things that I do appreciate about you, Dion, is that you show up in your authentic self every day. It's legit. I actually mentioned this to a few of the individuals that were here. You can't fake this. You can't, because people would find out, because now you are exposed more than you've ever been. You have people depending on you. If you weren't your real self, that payroll would have a equal time being balanced every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. And so, to be perfectly frank with you, most of what you all have experienced with me, it's really who I am. And guess if there was one thing that most people don't know about me that I guess I'm going to break news tonight is that my heart grieves heavier for our people than I think sometimes people realize. That I am far more selfless than I think most people know. In fact, I'm going to be incredibly vulnerable here. One of the biggest challenges that my wife had with me when I decided to run for mayor, she just said, honey, I hope and pray that people get a chance to experience and know how much you really love them. And that the way politicians have engaged in the past with people, that I hope they're able to appreciate the trueness, the authenticity that you bring to the work, and that the way you love is something that I just hope that people appreciate. So just know that I am a mayor who is a lover and a fighter. I guess it's one way to put it. And I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to serve.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time. Your schedule, I'm sure, is bananas. But understanding that as you leave, that you're loved, you're appreciated, and there's really no failure. And I tell people all the time, what we've been able to do, what everyone in this room has been able to do is survive and thrive in spite of. So, offering up that little bit of grace and space, no matter what, is extremely important. So, if everybody, please, before the mayor goes, can you please give him a hand, please?
But again, we wouldn't be agreeing the way I do give. So, to officially kick off the 2024 Dream Draft, we're presenting the mayor with a home jersey and the honorary 2024 Dream Draft selectee, okay? So you're going to do our photo. Yep. We got to thank him. Come on.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. And y'all do me a favor one more time for my brother Dion. I'm really glad.
Now y'all about to see the motorcade pull out. He didn't take the 7 Cadillacs. All right. Host, take it away. Yes, sir.
Let's do this. Folks,